Here is a brief stop in Greenfield, Massachusetts from July 1975. The equipment is number 1 step. The coin phones are prepay. Local calls are still 10 cents. I'm going to pick up the phone, put in a dime, and dial a 1. That was going to centralized intercept, to an operator. In this area, all intercept is handled by centralized intercept, and they don't even have a recording. Those operators are pretty busy. The reason one goes to intercept is that there is no long-distance dialing from coin phones here. If you want to call long distance, you have to dial 0 for the operator. There's a very quaint instruction card on the phone here that has a list of all the places that are local calls. It has the town name and the 3-digit office code for each one. For everything else, it says dial 0. I am with family, so my time is very limited, but I do have time to touch upon each of these places briefly. Let's try Bernardston.
64822.
I'd planned to dial 64822, but I only got as far as 2 and hit a vacant level, which was once again going to operator intercept. Bernardston is a number 355 step with the old CDO ring. Now let's try Coleraine.
624. Two.
Well, there was something not entirely old-fashioned. T-carrier from here to Coleraine. The trunks to Bernardston were wire. 2 went to what is probably a blocked level. Chances are that office is so small, they only have 1,000 group, and it's probably the 3s duplicated with the 9s, and if you dial a 2, you get blocked because the 3200 group is there. Coleraine is a 355 step with the new CDO ring. It's raucous too, but not quite as much as the old CDO ring. In fact, let's try to get the ring from Coleraine. Now, based on that last call, I think the 3200 group is working, so let's try to get it to ring.
624.
Whenever you're dialing, please. Hello?
Well, at least that was a vacant number, not a vacant level, and it makes a little more sense to have operators answering those. But I'm confident that had we hit a vacant level, we would have gotten operator 2. This is New England Telephone, and they kept with that operator scheme for a really long time, even into the cutover of AIS, which caused problems. Here's a call to Conway.
369.
Okay, assistant.
Notice how she answered directory assistance. That's because it's the same operators handling both directory assistance and centralized intercept. I tried to hang up, but all I did was reset the trunk to Conway. We're still on it. So let's dial a vacant level again. Maybe we'll get the correct answer phrase this time.
What number did you dial?
Conway is another number 355 step with the new CDO ring, and we got a wire trunk to it on that call. On this next call to Miller's Falls, I'm looking for an actual ringing number, not a vacant level, not a blocked level. I'm able to reset the trunk and try different digits until I finally get what I'm looking for.
This is 659.
What number did you dial?
The next place is Montague.
This is 367.
I was short on time, so I didn't bother to find a working group in Montague. But we do know that it has the new CDO tone plant, at least for the reorder, and we have a wire trunk. Next is Northfield.
What number are you doing?
That was 498, and so is this.
Northfield as well is a 355 step with the oldest tone plant. South Deerfield is next.
665.
South Deerfield is a 355 step with the older tone plant. On the two calls we made, we got a trunk that had some even harmonics of 60 Hertz. Usually you get odd harmonics on wire trunks, but on that one you got this. Okay, next is South Guildford, Vermont. It's on the other side of the state line, and it has a different area code, but it's local from here and you dial it as 7 digits.
Wow. 642 in the 802 area.
South Guildford, Vermont is no different. It's a 355 step with the older tone, and that was a vacant level starting to go to operator intercept. We have one more, Turner's Falls.
863.
And I've just lost my dime. In a number 1 step, there's no supervision grace. Anyway, that was the last town on the list, so we did make a brief call to each one, and they're all 355 steps. They go over wire trunks except for Coleraine. There are no recordings. It's 100% operator intercept, and there aren't even any of these. Wow, what an environment. Sort of quaint, in a way. Also, to me, it has undertones of a backwards rural area where nobody thinks outside the box. So I feel I gotta get out of here a little bit listening to this. But there is variety in the various raucous ringtones. And by the way, sending every intercept to a live operator is a very 1950s sort of thing to do. By sometime in the 1960s, centralized intercept, which is the system they're using, was fully capable of providing a recording like this.
This is a recording. I'm sorry, the number you have reached is not in service at this time. If you need assistance, please stay on the line and the operator will answer.
After the recording, you would then get an operator just in case you needed one. In places where centralized intercept was handling all intercepts, and they had a recording like that, the operators weren't overworked. What they would do is they'd put vacant levels on machine intercept, and they'd also put unassigned numbers on machine intercept. And the only numbers that would go directly to an operator without a recording first would be specific numbers that have recently been changed or temporarily disconnected. Everything else went to the recording first, and that saved a heck of a lot of operators. Now, this policy of not equipping your local offices for machine intercept is really going to bite them in the ass, and pretty soon. This is 1975, and they've got their familiar little circle of operators sitting in Greenfield. But this is not going to last forever. In fact, what's coming soon is a new system that is all about saving operators, not having to use them.
The number you have reached, 829-6811, has been disconnected.
That's called AIS. Now, when AIS comes in, it does several things, one of which is to replace this.
This is a recording. I'm sorry, the number you have reached is not in service at this time.
With this.
The number you have reached is not in service. Please check the number and dial again. The number you have reached is not in service.
Right, and then as an added bonus, if your office has automatic number identification, your vacant numbers will be handled fully automatically, like this.
The number you have reached, 829-6811, has been disconnected.
Exactly. If your staff office doesn't have automatic number identification, then your changed and recently temporarily disconnected numbers will go to an operator like this.
Mr. Operator, what number are you dialing, please?
454-2111.
The number you have reached, 454-2111, has been changed. The new number is 454-2144. Please make a note of it. 454-2111 has been changed. The new number is 454-2144. If you need assistance, you may stay on the line and an operator will answer.
Of course, since you do have machine intercept, callers only go directly to the operator if there's a change or some status that the caller needs to know. Everybody else just gets this.
The number you have reached is not in service. Please check the number and dial again.
And most of them hang up and redial, and it all works out fine. What throws a monkey wrench into the works is places like Greenfield, Massachusetts, and others in Massachusetts and in Maine, which don't have any machine intercept, and so every non-working number and every dialing error goes right to the operator. Well, what can AIS do with that? Well, I'll tell you what they can do. They can install 3 or 4 times as many AIS consoles and staff them with operators. That's what. The whole point of AIS is to save operators, but the reason they couldn't do it in New England was because prior to AIS, they never instituted machine intercept in so many places. So, I was getting reports from Bill in around 1981 that New England Telephone's AIS for areas outside Boston had 3 or 4 times as many operators as everybody else in the country. And if you were to ask New England Telephone, they'd say, well, it's because we have so many steps. But that's not the problem. The problem is that when AIS came in, so many of your steps were still in the 1950s. You don't hear me advocating for modernity much, but boy, in this case. Anyway, one of the places we called was South Guildford, Vermont, which is a local call, and it just so happens that 2 years later, in 1977, I found a payphone served by that exchange. It was in a rest area on Interstate 91, and that payphone for some reason would allow you to make long-distance calls. Not only that, but South Guildford had automatic number identification, meaning that there wasn't even an operator coming on the line to say your number please, to in any way intervene. You could just pick up the phone, dial 1 and away, and it would bill to the payphone, which meant the phone company got the bill, which meant that, you know me, I was nice, I didn't run up any completed calls. But here's calling my Skylar 4 number in New York, just walking up to the payphone and dialing it. That call definitely went out on some sort of a 4A switch. What I'm not sure about is whether we went through a step camera system first. If we did, it would be the outgoing long-distance side of the Greenfield step tandem. I dialed 1. Let's see how this times out. Okay, that is the Greenfield, Massachusetts camera system, which made a very subtle tick before dialing something and dumping us on that reorder tone. So distorted by several factors that it's barely recognizable as a city reorder tone, but it is. The automatic number identification system being used here is, I think, ANI-C. It's not the type used in number 1 steps, ANI-B, and it's also not the type used in the smallest little step offices called ANI-D. So since this is a Bell system office, I am guessing that what we're hearing here, yeah, that's the sound of it, is ANI-C. I repeatedly tried to make it fail. but could not. So it may be that ANIC is somewhat foolproof. I know that ANID is downright impossible to make fail. I wanted to dial 1 plus a completely vacant code and see what I got. So I dialed 1 211 111 1111.
We're sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator to help you. This is a recording. 4132. We're sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator to help you. This is a recording. 4132. We're sorry.
It turns out the Greenfield MA took that and sent it to its home office, the Springfield 4A.
4132.
And that's all I recorded from Greenfield, Mass. and South Guildford, Vermont.